Last Thursday, a model appeared on OpenRouter. No lab, no paper, no name behind it. Just a free endpoint called Wccftech and a description promising a reasoning model built for coding, sustained agentic work, and production workload. Within 72 hours, TechCrunch was running a piece by Anthony Ha with a headline that is basically the whole story. Who's behind the new stealth model Wccftech? Published August 23rd. Still unanswered. Because the listing itself tells you almost nothing. OpenRouter labels it a stealth model, developed and operated by a third-party provider who has chosen to remain anonymous during this preview. That is the entire disclosure. No parameter count, no context window, no license. No model card, no training cutoff, no tokenizer, no safety policy, no company. A frontier-grade coding model showed up in production infrastructure wearing a paper bag over its head, and thousands of developers immediately pointed their agents at it. And the reviews were good. Patrick Collison, the CEO of Stripe, posted on X that Wccftech was, quote, very impressive, which is a fun sentence, because Stripe is currently acquiring OpenRouter. So the incoming owner of the marketplace is publicly praising an anonymous model listed on that marketplace. That's not a conflict of interest. That's vertical integration. Here's the context you need. The unbranded model drop is now a genre. A lab finishes a checkpoint, isn't ready to announce it, and needs real-world traffic against real-world prompts before committing a brand to it. So it ships the weights behind a code name, lets the internet hammer it for a week, watches the numbers, and then either takes a bow or quietly deletes the endpoint and pretends nothing happened. Wccftech is the current episode. It will not be the last. So let's talk about why OpenRouter is the perfect stage for this. OpenRouter is a single OpenAI-compatible API, sitting in front of hundreds of models. You keep your existing client library, you keep your existing request shape, and you change exactly one string, the model field. That's it. That design choice is what makes a stealth launch trivial. A provider can appear as a new model ID, inherit an entire ecosystem of tools, agent frameworks, and IDE plugins, and start serving tokens without a single developer changing a line of code. Zero marketing spend, zero integration cost, instant distribution. And the description does real work. A reasoning model designed for coding, sustained agentic work, and production workload. Unpack that. Reasoning model means it burns hidden tokens before answering. You pay latency and compute upfront for accuracy on the back end. Sustained agentic work means long horizon tool calling loops. Read a file, run a test, parse the failure, edit, rerun, 40 times in a row without losing the plot. That is the hardest thing to benchmark and the easiest thing to fake in a demo, because failure modes only appear at step 30. Production workload is the boldest claim of the three, and we'll come back to it, because it is being made by an entity that refuses to tell you its own name. Now the detective work. When a model shows up anonymous, the community reaches for fingerprinting, and this is the one concept worth understanding properly because it's genuinely clever. Start with the tokenizer. Every model chops text into tokens using a fixed vocabulary, usually byte pair encoding, and those vocabularies are training artifacts. They're built from a specific corpus with a specific merge order. So the way a model handles weird inputs leaks its lineage, how it groups digits in a long number, whether it splits emoji into surrogate garbage, how efficiently it encodes Chinese characters versus Cyrillic, whether it chokes on a string of 1,000 repeated brackets. Two models trained by the same lab tend to share a tokenizer, and a tokenizer is a fingerprint you cannot easily fake at inference time. Then there's refusal style. When a model declines a request, it doesn't improvise. It reaches for phrasing baked in during post-training. The exact hedging cadence, whether it explains its reasoning or just stops, whether it offers an alternative, whether it apologizes first. That's a house style, and house styles are extremely consistent within a lab. Same goes for formatting habits. How aggressively it reaches for bulleted lists, whether it wraps code in a language tag by default, whether it opens with a restatement of your question. And then the physical layer, time to first token and tokens per second under load hint at whether you're looking at a dense model or a mixture of experts with a small active parameter count, and which serving stack is underneath. So, armed with all that, what did the internet conclude? Nothing. AI analyst Andrew Curran posted on Friday that early speculation had converged on the GLM family from the Chinese company Z.ai. The lab that's been shipping open-weight mixture of experts models under permissive licenses and making Western labs look expensive. And then Curran's own update. This morning, people seem less sure of anything. A Wccftech write-up followed the identical arc. First, the evidence pointed at GLM, then an update floated the theory that Wccftech is actually an unreleased version of Microsoft's MAI. The in-house model line Microsoft has been building to reduce its dependence on you-know-who. Sit with that suspect list for a second. Theory 1, an open-weight lab in Beijing. Theory 2, Microsoft. Those are not neighboring hypotheses, that's not narrowing it down. That's a map of the entire planet, with 2 pins in it. When your prime suspects are a Chinese open-source challenger and a company with a market cap in the trillions, you don't have evidence. You have vibes with a confidence interval the size of the Pacific. And that brings us to the part the excitement is hiding. Blind evaluation is legitimately good science. Preference arenas anonymize models on purpose, because if you show a human the brand wins, that's a halo effect, and it poisons the data. So you serve two unlabeled responses, collect a vote, and fit a Bradley-Terry model, which is the same math chess Elo runs on. The expected score of A against B is 1 over 1 plus 10 to the power of B minus A over 400. A 400-point gap means you win about 91% of the time. It's elegant, it's well understood, and it needs thousands of votes per pairing before the confidence intervals shrink enough to distinguish first place from fourth. Here's the catch. The exact anonymity that makes blind evaluation rigorous is also the perfect cover for a marketing campaign. Ship unbranded, harvest the ELO, let the guessing game generate a week of organic coverage, then reveal. And now your launch post opens with mysterious model everyone was obsessed with was ours. The methodology and the growth hack are the same maneuver. The only difference is who's holding the results. And the votes aren't the only thing being collected. Free inference on a frontier-class model is not charity. It's the going rate for training signal. Every prompt, every retry, every time you rephrase. Because the answer was wrong. Every conversation you abandon at turn 12. That's a labeled dataset about where the model breaks, generated by professionals for free at a scale no internal red team can match. You're not the customer here. You're the eval harness. And you're being paid in API credits you didn't ask for. The leaderboard number that comes out of this is also worth distrusting. The population testing a mystery model is not a random sample of developers. It's enthusiasts at their most curious writing short, exploratory prompts. Arena prompts skew tiny. Your actual production workload is a 40,000 token context stuffed with a legacy codebase, 6 tool definitions, and a system prompt someone wrote in 2024 and nobody has touched since. Winning at short prompts predicts approximately nothing about surviving that. So what does this actually mean if you write code for a living? 3 things. First, no license means no rights. There's no model card, no terms specific to this provider, no stated data retention policy, and no named entity to hold to any of it. Sending your employer's proprietary source code to an anonymous inference endpoint is a decision, and it should be made on purpose, ideally by someone whose job title includes the word counsel. Second, during this preview is doing enormous load-bearing work in that sentence. There is no version pin, no deprecation window, no SLA, and no support channel. The weights behind that model ID can change on Tuesday, and you will find out from your error rate. Anything advertised for production workload that cannot tell you its own name is not in the engineering sense available. Third, and this is the one that actually pays off, build your own eval set. 50 to 200 prompts pulled from your real product with graded reference answers and a scoring script you can run in CI. That takes an afternoon. And from then on, every mystery model, every leaderboard shakeup, every stealth drop becomes a 15-minute question with a number at the end instead of a 3-day argument. Public benchmarks measure the average developer's average task. You're not average, and neither is your codebase. The funniest part is the timing. This all played out in the same week. TechCrunch reported Hugging Face is in talks to be acquired for $13 billion. $13 billion for the place models live, and the hottest model of the week doesn't live anywhere, belongs to nobody, and answers to a codename. Somebody spent tens of millions of dollars in compute to train Ox Alpha. Somebody is paying for every free token it serves. And that somebody would rather stay anonymous than tell you what it is, which tells you the identity was never the product. The guessing was. Ox Alpha doesn't have a launch, it has a mystery, and mysteries are cheaper than ad spend. It has no name, no license, and no lab. What it has is a QA department of several million engineers working for free, extremely enthusiastically, and none of you are on the payroll.